So I recently rewatched the movie 300, and at this point I've lost count how many times I've watched this movie over the years. And if you haven't watched this movie, step outside and look up and check for any rocks above. It's a joke, but go and watch this movie and you'll thank me later. Many people have asked me why I keep rewatching this movie, and I didn't have an answer up until recently. I've always been fascinated by mastery and about people who are the best at what they do. So basically, this movie is all about mastery. I'll try to tell you what happens in the movie without spoiling it for you. So, what happens in the movie is that in Greece, there's a kingdom called Sparta, and Spartans are known for being great warriors. So, what they do is they take boys as toddlers and they start training them for battle. So, they keep learning over the years, and when they're old enough, they join the army. The best death you can ever get is dying in service of Sparta in war, in what they call a beautiful death. Now, I like this not because I like war or anything, but I just like how people are able to master their craft to such an extent that they are so good at it and they're totally obsessed by it.
This is Sparta!
So the mastery of their craft of war is shown clearly when an army of 300 Spartans faced 10,000 Persians and they gave them a run for their money. Just go watch it if you haven't, because you'll love it. So I've pretty much been a nerd when it comes to learning about mastery or why people are so good at what they do, because I've watched documentaries on many great people. I started watching documentaries on the greatest artists of all time because I've always been into art from a young age. So I made sure to watch documentaries that covered Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Pablo Picasso. You name it, I've watched it. I really wanted to know why are these people so good at what they did. Especially Michelangelo. He painted the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, and visiting the Sistine Chapel was definitely on my bucket list. So I didn't only stop at art, I went to other disciplines from music. I watched documentaries on Mozart, Beethoven. I watched documentaries on even more recent people, Steve Jobs. I watched all the movies. Basically, I wanted to understand why these people were so great at what they did and what made them special, and are they different from everyone. I was mainly drawn to people in history because they didn't have technology that we have now. So if they were good because they mastered the craft and not necessarily because they had better technology. If you're like me, you probably assume that these people were good because they were just born with whatever talent they had and they had unfair advantage over everyone else. In as much as that might be true in certain things, like if you were born very tall, you'll probably be better at basketball than a shorter person. You also have something that makes you different, and if you just find your thing, you also have an unfair advantage over everyone else. So the more I studied these people, the more I found that they were just like everyone else. These people were not too different from me and you. And if you chase something, if you decide to master something, you can also achieve the same greatness. So your goal might not be to be world class or to go to the Olympics, but you can still be very good. You can still be so good at something and be better than a lot of people that you know. I read a book called Mastery by Robert Greene that gives step-by-step methods that you can do to master any craft. So that book and many other resources that I've studied over the years made me understand that mastery comes down to a few steps that if you apply consistently, you keep learning your craft and over time you master it. And you probably also have people saying that you are born with the talent. So let's talk about the steps to mastering any craft. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you that these are not things that I thought of. These are things that I've picked up from studying and many different places. So it's something that I've tried out and it works, and it's something that I apply. So I just took what I studied and I compressed it into this video and I'm giving it to you. You're welcome. The first step to mastering anything is deciding to master it. So these people that are great at stuff, they didn't just do it by mistake. It's people that made a decision to be great at what they do, and they continuously worked hard at it until they were so good that people just think that they were born with it. So if you want to master your craft, decide that you want to be the best at what you do. So many people are in their jobs or sports, but they don't have the desire to be the best. They're just there, you know. They just dabble into stuff, but they never go deep. They never put that effort to try and master it and achieve greatness at whatever they do. So as I start this YouTube channel, I want to master my craft and I'll keep learning and be intentional about mastering the craft so that I will be the best YouTuber I can be. The second step to mastering your craft is observing from the masters. So it doesn't matter what discipline you are in, there are people who are very good in that field. So you need to look for them and observe what they did in order to achieve whatever they achieved. The thing about success is that it leaves clues. So if you look at the clues and you follow them, you also attain success. Who is the best person in your industry? Listen to their talks, read their book, do whatever you can to learn what they did. And if you can learn from them directly, the better. So before I started this YouTube channel, I didn't have any experience whatsoever. I made it a point to look at the YouTubers that I like and sort of to look at what I like about their videos, what worked for them, and figure out what I would want in my videos as well. The third steps to mastering any craft is deconstructing the skill or the process. So when you see someone who has mastered their craft, it's very easy to get intimidated and think that you'll never be at the level they're at. What you need to understand is that it took time and it took probably years or decades for them to get to where they are. So you need to break down the skill to a level that is very simple enough for you to attempt. It's like when you want to climb a mountain. When you're at the foot of the mountain, it's easy to get intimidated by the high mountain and think that you'll never be able to hike that mountain. But if you just take baby steps, one step in front of the other, and go as far as you can see, when you get there, you'll figure it out and you know what to do when you get there. So just start the journey. So before I started this channel, I was so overwhelmed. I had to figure out my camera, I had to figure out the lighting, I had to figure out how to be comfortable on camera. After that, you have to know what you're going to say on camera, and you have to deal with things with SEO, how to promote your videos, how to title it, or how to make thumbnails. It's a whole lot of work that goes into it. So all I had to do was just to break down the processes and tackle one process at a time. So if I'm figuring out the camera settings, I'm just dealing with the camera settings. And if I get that, I'll move on to the next thing. Instead of just like taking everything as one, you get overwhelmed. So if you deconstruct the skill or the process and you are still intimidated, deconstruct it further until it's as simple as it gets and tackle that. And you go to the next one until you finish. The fourth thing that you need to focus on when mastering any craft is deliberate practice. Now, deliberate practice is basically being intentional about practicing and changing one thing at a time to a process to see what's impacting your results. Now, in amateur movies, to change so many things on an attempt, and if something works, you don't know what was responsible for that working. But if you change one thing and attempt, and one thing and you attempt, you are able to pinpoint what change made the results. Be very intentional when you're trying to master your craft. Don't just do things without a plan. For example, when I'm trying out things on this YouTube channel, I don't change too many things at a go. I change a few things and make a video. And if that video does well, I'll be able to pinpoint what change gave me the results. So when I pinpoint the change, I'm able to focus more on that and let go of other things that didn't work. The fifth step to mastery is consistency. Nothing works without consistency, and I'm guilty of this as well. Long-term consistency is better than short-term intensity. So instead of going so hard for a few days and then go quiet, it's better to just do little by little over time, but doing it every day. One thing I had to learn when I started this YouTube channel is that for you to grow on YouTube, consistency is key. I'll need to keep pumping out videos over time, and it will be better for me to put one video per week every week than to release 5 videos this week and then nothing for the next 2 months, then 5 videos after that. So be consistent and trust the process. The sixth step to mastering any craft is focus. By focus, I'm referring to trying to master one craft at a go. There's abundance, guys. You can master any craft that you pick as long as you try to master one craft at a go. If you try to master too many crafts at a go, you end up being a jack of all trades but master of none. I used to do this. I used to dabble with so many things and not focus on one. So like I wouldn't see the result that I wanted, and I would wonder why I'm not getting the results. So this book called The One Thing by Gary Keller, it helped a ton. So I suggest that you check it out as well. So basically what you need to do is to go all in at one thing at a time. You can master 3 crafts at one go, but like when you're practicing one, go all in. And when you go to the next, leave this one and go all in on this one. That way you see better results. Now, I truly believe that if you focus on applying these few steps and you apply them consistently, you will wake up one day after you have mastered your craft, and people will have so many theories on how you became the best at what you do. Make it a point to be the best that you do, whether be it in your company, sport, or any craft basically. Do not focus on money, because that's a mistake that many people do. Focus on the craft, and when you master the craft, the money will just come on its own. Mastering your craft requires great sacrifice, and for that sacrifice, you are rewarded greatly. That's why the best people in their industries, they are paid the most. This is all I have for you, and if you are still watching, I'd like to thank you for watching, and consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel because more is definitely coming. Yeah, I would want you to witness me mastering this craft of YouTube, and I'll try to improve, and I promise to give you the best content I can possibly create. That said, go master your craft, and I'll